Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sea.
Hi, welcome to be my guest. This is Jan Lewis, your host. Today we have Faith Lucille with us, and Faith is an author. She has written the cutest book, If You Need to Smile. If You Need to Smile. Welcome, Faith.
Thank you.
Did you design the cover?
I kind of did. The website that I used to create it gives me options of whether to move a title, pick a picture, pick the colors, lettering. So give me a kind of basic foundation.
And you, good girl, you self-published.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Why wait a year or two to just be turned down?
Yeah.
That would drive me crazy.
A lot of the problems when it comes to publishing now is if you go to a big-time publisher, they might ask you to tweak your work. They might think that one thing that you like to do is not good enough for the crowd, so
Yes.
I don't want to tweak it. I want to
No.
my raw humor.
And they'll also, from what I understand, you have no say over how your cover looks.
No, they pick it for you for the most part. Very lucky authors maybe are able to do that, but
They also do not, they're not, I act as a publicist, but what they don't do what I do. They can't get, they drop you. Basically, you're on your own. Now we've done our part. Now you get yourself out there. And so basically you could either have a publicist help you or get yourself scheduled to appear at different places to get the word out.
yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying.
Have you been over to Tatnuck?
No, I the library over there.
Tatnuck? Nope. The Tatnuck is in Westboro. It's a big bookstore.
I contacted them, but I didn't hear back yet. So I'll have to
can
try
help you
again.
while we talk. Okay.
All right.
This book is so. When did you start writing this?
Well, technically, I started writing it when I was 15.
15.
Yeah, that's when I started writing the quotes down. So I have a very bad memory, and I was sick of not remembering things. And people would say, what happened this day and what happened that day? And what I wanted to do to remember was write down what people would say, and I'd have little slips of paper if I thought they were funny.
Yeah.
So I would keep those little slips of paper, store them in a notebook. Then one day, I decided I'm going to write them down in concordance in the notebook. And it just kind of led from one thing to another. And I used to read it. I used to open and read it when I was sad or depressed or mad, and it would kind of bring me out of the mood I was in. So then after 10 years of collecting it, somebody asked me what I was going to do with all the quotes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to write a book. But I was like, just saying that. I didn't really intend on doing it. So that question worked on me for a couple years. And I was working in an assisted living place, and I'd worked for the elderly for like 6, 7 years. And they taught me like not to wait to follow your dreams. They kind of lit my butt on fire.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm going to finish this. So I wrote, edited, published it in 2 months after I finally started. Yeah. I would work full time, come home after a long day of work, and I would sit for like 6 hours, and I would be in tunnel vision. I would just write, and for some reason I'm a night owl. I'm nocturnal.
Oh, so am I. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least you can relate.
Yeah, I relate.
That's when I get the best ideas. Like even at night, I'll have a notebook by my bed.
Yes.
And I'll run over and like I'll write it down, or I'll put it in my phone.
Yeah.
And I already have trying to do a second book like this, so I have enough material for it already. Cause
Yeah.
I don't know.
You've got another one coming?
I'm starting to write it now. I'm coming up with the chapter names, and I have to organize it. I have all the material already.
Yeah.
I just have to put it.
Okay, we're talking with Faith Lucille, and she is the author of If You Need a Smile, and it's called A Dose of Laughter for My Sick World.
It
I
is.
love this. Now, you said you work at assisted living for the elderly?
I did, yeah. I just stopped working January 15th.
What, did they see the book?
I brought it in, and a couple of them bought the book.
I'll bet.
And I'm going to be there on February 28th, I believe, to do a showing, reading questions and answers. But there's a whole chapter inspired by the elderly in the beginning, as you've read. But
Yeah.
they're my favorite subject because they don't have any inhibitions. There's nothing that's going to hold them back from what they need to say, and they have raw honesty, and they'll tell you what you need to do. And also their humor is hilarious. They've seen it all, so nothing phases them, and I love that.
Some of the old sayings, like I know that my parents and grandparents, I can remember, and they'll come back to me. And if I got upset about something and I was worried about the outcome, my mother would say to me, Jan, in 100 years, who's going to know? Who's going to care?
That's true.
It was a way of saying, go for it in 100 years, they may remember, they may not. But
Mm-hmm.
take a chance. Take a chance. She also said, if there's a bee in your bonnet, you better go do it.
Like, just kind of setting your butt on fire.
Yeah,
If you have an
exactly.
idea, do it.
Yeah, I had moved back home, and then I was in the city with them, and I didn't like it. I wanted to go back to the hills of New Hampshire, the mountains.
Yeah.
And I was getting physically ill. I just couldn't stand the city back then.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, well, I think you better do it. If you got a bee in your bonnet, you better go do it.
Right.
And I think I had only $400 to my name. Got on a bus in Connecticut, went up to New Hampshire, the White Mountains. Man, had found a room to rent. And I stayed there for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the bee out of my bonnet.
I mean, that's good. I mean, if you have something you want to do, just go and do it, because you never know if you can't do it down the line.
Did you know in high school that this is what you were going to do?
No, I always kind of, the idea of being an author was romantic to me. Having like a drink of coffee with your cat on your lap and like typing, and that actually happened for me. I got a cat and it just kind of all fell into place. But I always liked making people laugh. Like in my yearbooks, people would say I'm funny, and I never really thought I was.
Yeah.
I think I'm more mildly amusing, like enough to want to keep around.
Yeah.
But I like making people happy. It's like a passion of mine. If I can change somebody's day, like,
Yeah.
I feel good about myself at the end of the day.
What she just said is a gem. That is really, really good. And I can see you working with the senior citizens because that's how you are.
Mm-hmm.
You like you. Now, I think you said everybody has a special thing on this book, right? A special page or a special saying.
Yeah.
It's on page 126. Again, if you need to smile. All right, I'm going to read this quickly.
Sure.
This is a riot. It's between an announcer and somebody who is ready to get on a flight, right?
Mhm.
Get on a plane. The announcer says, if you miss your flight, we'll send you to the city of our choosing. Right off the bat, I'm like, really? Later, the announcer comes on. If you're on the flight to Columbia, make a right turn. If you take a left, you've just made a terrible mistake. Still later, the announcer says, make sure you get the yellow tags to attach to your luggage. Your bags, our tags. It's the perfect marriage, maybe better than your own. That is cool. Do you have special ones in here? Do you
My
have
favorite ones?
Yeah, sure.
I
Read to us.
I have like a bunch of
Oh,
different
yeah.
tabs
Go for
because
it.
I can't pick one all the time.
Look at you. You've been a busy girl.
I know. Right, this is from When the Old Speak Gold. Basically, that chapter is about the elderly because I love them. Whenever they say something, it's just pure, it's raw, and a lot of times it's hilarious. So this says, I like to get to know the people that I'm trying to entertain because I'm an activities assistant. I like to feel like they're kind of part of my family, which gives me a good excuse to act like a fool. Hey, they're family now. It's pretty cool when they feel the same way towards you after a while and start asking how your family is doing. I never thought that asking about their families could be sad and funny at the same time. Is that even possible, or am I just some special kind of psycho? I asked, do you have any cousins? Do you talk to them? Rebecca said, no, they're all dead. They don't talk back anymore. I love them.
That is so... And you've been collecting these through the years.
Yeah, I have 2 notebooks filled to the brim. There's still pieces stuck in them, aside from the pages being all filled up.
Yeah.
And I would grab a napkin. I'll grab like a wax paper, whatever was around me.
Yeah.
I'd write on it. Sometimes I'd have to write it on my hand, and I'd have to transfer it over. But I don't like to miss a moment. So if somebody says something funny to me, what
Yeah.
I'll do is I'll tell them to stop. I was like, don't say anything
Don't
else.
say, let me write down.
Yeah, I was like, don't breathe. And like sometimes I have to ask them for certain words that
Yeah.
they said. And if I can't remember at that time exactly what they said, I won't write it down.
Yeah.
Because everything in here is said word for word. And I like the fact that it's like a pure truth
Sure.
type thing.
Faith, how can people go about getting your book?
If you want to get the book, it's on Amazon. But the easier way to search for it is go on ifyouneedtosmile.com. There's an Amazon link right on the page where I also have my blog. I have the events that I'm doing in the future, and I have an About Me section if you want to find out more about me and stalk me. Just kidding. Don't stalk
give them
me.
any ideas.
No, I'm just kidding. No, and I also have an email. It's ifyouneedtosmile@gmail.com. I'm pretty up to date. I answer quickly. I'm always on my phone because I'm a millennial, as we were just talking about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Now, you've got 2 little ones at home.
Mm-hmm.
This is a challenge. And yet you got this out in 2 months.
Yeah, it was insane. My husband helped a lot.
He did.
Yeah, he'd watch the kids. He took the brunt of the work for a while, and he got my short temper because when I was in tunnel vision, I couldn't hear my kids.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything else. It was just the book. And a lot of times I'd be tired after coming home and working on the book, and I might have given him an attitude. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I know.
But he understood. I'm lucky to have a husband like him. He's very understanding and compassionate.
Now, also downstairs in the Upton Library, okay, we have the author's wall. I've talked about it many times, and you're going to find a copy of Faith Lucille's book. And it's an easy read. It's a fun read. Go ahead, read some more to us.
Okay. Just a disclaimer, I wanted to kind of make this like a bathroom reader, but I didn't want to just say the bathroom, because it's a kind of book where it's short stories and you can just kind of turn to any page and they're separated by little designs, so you can kind of just read one thing at a time and come back to it or read it over again. All right, let's see.
I can see this anywhere, in a waiting room, you name it.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm going to try to maybe pass them out to different places. I always give people free books. Well, sometimes, because, lose money if I...
Yeah.
All right. This is When You're Ever Clever. That's the chapter name. I like when people are witty and have back and forth banter, so I tried to encapsulate that. Anthony, my husband, was playing with my oldest son by holding up his legs, while my son Noah used his hand to propel himself along the floor. Anthony said, "Do you know what this is called? It's called the wheelbarrow." I said, "Yeah, it's what we bring stepdad home in when he eats too much." Anthony said, "No, it's what they bring your mother's food in." My husband likes to make fun of me a lot. This is from the same chapter. It's between my mom, my dad, and me when we were talking outside on the deck. I said, "My family and I love hanging out on a nice day, listening to music and just chatting." My mom said, "Why did they call it a manicure anyway? They should call it a womanicure." My dad said, "No, man is the cure." My mom said, "No, man is the sickness." That's the truth.
Really? Okay. I'd like to meet your mom.
She's feisty. Like, I did a description on her the best way I knew how. She's a she-woman forced to be reckoned with. She wears stilettos. She speaks in cursive. Like, oh man, she wears fur coats, and she's like a diva, but she's classy, and she will not hesitate to shut something down if it's not. She'll stand up for what's right.
Right.
And I love that. And a lot of people are intimidated by my mom.
But you live in Oxford. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is your family near you?
I have a lot of family near me. My parents, they live in Webster.
Yeah.
Well, I want their address.
No, don't do that.
Just kidding. My cousins live all live in Worcester. Mm-hmm. My brother lives in Webster, so it's kind of cool to have like a family that's close by.
There's a Sutton Writers group that you might really be interested in, and that's something else I will clue you into.
Okay.
I think I know the gal who leads it or is part of it. I think you'd have a blast in there.
Yeah.
And it's so close to you.
There's other writers.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That might be fun.
We just had one of them. Lisa Shea has been a frequent guest here, and she is an avid writer there. She was just on, and I think that's how I met her, through the Sutton Writers group. I may be wrong, but I think that's how I met her. Read us something else.
All right. This is from the last chapter. It's When It Comes Out of Nowhere. I said, my dad was trying to take all the credit for something I was doing. "Dad," he said, "you're quick, Faith. You get that from me." I said, "No, I got that from Mom. The only thing I got from you is your car." I'm going to read a longer one. This is my favorite one.
Okay.
It's about 3 pages. My husband Anthony and friend Shane work together to register people coming into the hospital. They're like a really bad superhero team, where they have no superpowers whatsoever, other than the power to talk about nothing important and feel like they had a groundbreaking conversation. But hey, that's what best friends are for. I have too many best friends, and they refuse to pick one. If I had the choice, I'd morph my best friends and me into a better version of the Power Rangers Megazord. However, I definitely use more latex, less metal, and do more twerking. I think either Gabby likes hospitals a lot, or she's just so bored in her house that she finds a way to get wounded so she can visit again. I mean, they have great food, clean bathrooms, and timely service. Well, in this instance, she wanted to visit for the company. A terrible twosome was going to help register Gabby. You know, the job that usually takes one person one time to complete. Anthony, my husband, was registrar number 1, my albino Puerto Rican king. Unnecessary registrar number 2 goes to the forever dateless, incessantly philosophical best friend Shane. So they're both going back and forth between doing their jobs and bothering Gabby, asking stupid questions that are making her laugh, which made her chest hurt, which was the reason for her going to the hospital. In my opinion, this is a genius way for the hospital to retain clientele and render more services for the patient. You know how sometimes patients walk out because they've been waiting for 4 hours in the hallway hospital bed with a severed limb and a ruptured spleen, but leave because they'd rather bleed and die in the street or on their way to the car than wait in a sterile environment with the other sickos. So they end up realizing how much worse the pain really is and realize they cannot indeed leave. That's not corrupt at all, and it's very effective. Well, my favorite part of hearing this sloppy secondhand story was when Gabby told me she heard Shane and Anthony coming down the hallway. They were quietly talking amongst themselves and kept hushing their co-workers on the way to Gabby's location. In the meantime, Gabby's just frozen in the center of her privately curtained hospital bed in a Johnny, waiting for these two heathens to disgrace her with their presence. As they got closer, Gabby heard Shane say, "You don't see anything," to an uninformed and bewildered doctor. While Anthony says to the same doctor, "We're going to perform an operation." A couple of seconds go by before sassy Shane and antsy Anthony burst the curtain door open to Gabby's hospital hut. They shone with the light of medical professionalism and the slight stench of hospital sanitizer. Armed with gloves, masks, and pride, they both gave Gabby her diagnosis. Poor Gabby only wished she had a petty accident or a faint anxiety attack. It was much worse than that. With a snap of their gloves, they gave Gabby the news. Anthony said, "You have AIDS." Shane said, "You have diverticulitis." Anthony said, "You have a heart attack." Shane said, "You have herpesiphilitis and chlamydia." She then immediately died. Just kidding, but she did die of laughter after this preposterous diagnosis.
I take it you've been over to an emergency room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to frequent them. I actually have anxiety. I have pretty bad anxiety disorder, but...
Yeah. Panic attacks, that type of thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They see that a lot over it. You know, they do.
It's it's common, but nobody really talks about it.
I had a friend who he was, gosh, might be in his 80s or 90s now, but he thought he was having a heart attack one time.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up at the hospital. They said, "You're fine. You're having a panic attack." But that's what he thought.
That's what happened to me, about 4 weeks ago. It's right when I finished leaving my job because of heart issues. I do have a heart condition, but my heart was flying and I was freaking out, and I actually called the ambulance because I was fainting, and they couldn't find anything wrong with my heart, besides the normal stuff.
Sounds like tachycardia.
I have tachycardia.
Yeah, my mother had that.
It was scary.
Yeah. They
But it
can
was
slow you
mixed with
down.
anxiety.
I think they can slow it down. Did you go to the ER?
I did, and
Yeah.
they just... The nurse there did not have a good bedside manner. She's like, "There's nothing wrong with you." Because I asked for a doctor's note for the next day because I was 2 in the morning, and it was Christmas Eve.
And you were scared. Well, you weren't alone, were you?
No, my husband was there.
Oh, gosh.
He's very dedicated. I have to give it to him. I haven't ever seen a man so dedicated to his wife before.
We've been talking with Faith Lucille, and she's the author. If you need to smile, a dose of laughter for my sick world.
It's sick, yeah.
Now, what is coming up next? You said you've got one coming.
Yes, I want to do another book. I'm pretty sure the title's going to be "If You Need to Smile More," because it's got more quotes that are a little bit more edgy. So I'll have to do more explaining with the quotes, and I'll have a lot more material, because I left a lot of it out. I wasn't sure how other people would fare with it, if they would understand it. But the most thing that I need from people is feedback on this book.
Yes.
So if you've read it, please leave me a review or anything, because it would help. I don't want to really write the next book until I know the opinions and what I can work on for the first one.
But you're still willing to appear different places.
Yes.
And again, how can people get a hold of you and get your book?
If you go on my website, ifyouneedtosmile.com, you can reach me on there and see what I've been doing lately through my blog. I also have my Twitter and my Facebook page connected to my website, and you can buy it on Amazon. The link is on the second page on my website. And my email is ifyouneedtosmile@gmail.com. Again, I'm very quick with responses because I do stay on my phone a lot, it can be a downfall.
No, that's okay. One thing, I always tell authors, they might go to a fair, but they'll sometimes just sit there. I'm like,
You have to
have
walk
someone
around.
with you, grab your book, and start walking around. And say, gee, have you read this? That type of thing.
Right.
You got to, and get out there, because, people aren't going to come to your door.
No.
You got to get out there, and even if it's the libraries are great. Libraries, places like Barnes and Noble, Tatnuck.
Right.
There's so many, and even your work was with the elderly were they assisted living or nursing homes?
First one was a nursing home, and this past job that I had was an assisted living. It's very different.
Yeah. Well, what was the difference?
And the nursing homes, they were a little bit more carefree because they were older. They had dementia. Most of them had dementia or Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
They tended to be funnier because the stuff that happened and the stuff that they said, they didn't screen. They didn't filter anything.
No, it just came out.
It just came out, and
Yeah.
the responses, they were just so funny.
Yeah.
I wrote stuff down every day.
Yeah.
The assisted living, some people had more of a fun time, but it was a little bit more reserved.
They weren't suffering from anything degenerative mentally, and they maybe felt a little more private, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that people look upon the elderly as not knowing a lot. They have aged and that they have no fun about them, but that's not true.
No.
They have probably more fun than anybody else because they don't give a crap.
No. I
No.
remember my grandfather he was funny. I used to idolize that guy. He had a wonderful sense of humor. The men in my family did. But he was, as he would say, he was a corker.
That's a different word.
Yeah, a corker. I guess back in the old days, it must have meant something to do with champagne.
Because I have it popped out.
So that's a real corker, meaning that's terrific.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from him. I would listen, and I'd seek him out when I was little. And by the time I came along, though, they were up there in age. I mean, my great-grandmother was already in her 90s? She lived in 96? So in your
pretty
family,
old.
do you have a lot of elders who are alive still?
Unfortunately, I had 3 sets of grandparents. My mom's adopted, so she had a biological and her adopted on my dad's side. But most of them ended up dying when I was younger. The last one that passed away, it was when I had just started working in a nursing home. It was the first month, and she passed away that first month.
Yeah.
But I wish I was closer. I wish I still had that opportunity. But my theory was going into nursing home or assisted living, I kind of adopted all these people as my grandmas and grandpas, and
Right.
it was awesome. Like, they really loved me, and I love them back. I still do.
I know when my son was 10, I wanted to make sure he understood what compassion is. So I said, okay, I would like you to go over to this nursing home and volunteer maybe once a week. And he wasn't that thrilled about it. I said, you know what? They're going to love you.
Yes.
Because he's a... They did. He ended up playing cards with this elderly man and kidding around, and he made the newspaper.
Really?
They care. They really want to
do.
see. If they don't see the kid, where is he? Where is he? Well, where's my card?
They remember a lot. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's a saying that people won't remember what you did for them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Exactly.
And I think it's
Yeah.
really important that people visit nursing homes. I think it should be mandatory in schools at least once a year. Make a trip to a nursing home and spend some time with the elderly, because they really appreciate it. And they're not just getting something, the kids can get something. They can
No.
learn about their elders
Well,
and
I
the
don't
history.
think he knew. I don't think he realized how much they cared. Like, he kind of maybe it's just his generation. He kind of shrugged it off like, Ma, I don't really think they do care.
They do. You build a bond and it's unbreakable, and you don't forget that.
No.
Each person can teach you something new.
There is a senior center. Well, I think it's our Upton Senior Center. I think they have a pen pal program.
Oh, that's great.
I may be wrong, but I think so. That with the seniors in town, get matched up with one of the young children in, I don't know if it's Memorial School or one of the other schools, and I don't know how long it goes on for, but they write back and forth. And then finally, the big day is they get to meet their pen pal.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that.
It's good because that it helps the seniors with their writing,
Yeah.
and then they have to cognitively remember
And
what
it helps
they
the
need
kids
to write.
with their writing.
It does.
Because kids are so used to the computer.
Yeah.
It teaches, yes, I do know how to write. Well, at least they know how to print.
Right.
Do they teach cursive anymore?
I was just about to say I don't think they do anymore,
Oh.
but I think it's important to learn that
Yeah.
because sometimes the older people or even people that are in pristine jobs, they do cursive, and some people can't read it, and I think it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Eventually they're going to have to sign checks someday. They're going to have to do you got to have reasonably, maybe not. Doctor's handwriting is kind of
Yeah,
debatable.
it's kind of like chicken scratch.
Okay, before we close, one last time, Faith, how can they get your book if you need a smile?
If you want to get the book, you can either go on Amazon and type in "If You Need to Smile." You can go on my website, ifyouneedtosmile.com, and there are various resources how you can get in touch with me, and subscribe to my email list, and I'll send you information. And I have an email, ifyouneedtosmile@gmail.com. Oh, don't forget to check me out on Twitter. It's _Faith Lucille. I'm always on Twitter, and I'll respond very quickly.
Boy, I'm looking forward to the next one. When do you think that might be out?
I want to do it before the end of the year. I'm going to start working on it in about a week, and then it'll be another 2 or 3 months, and I'll be done.
Do you do the Create Space?
I do.
One of the best creations, literally, that we
I
ever had.
love it. There's
Well,
no
thank you
cost.
so much, Faith, for being with us. Check out her book down in the Upton Library on the author's wall, or if it's not up yet, ask them to give it to you. They'll be right there, and they're waiting for you. We'll see you next time with your new book.
All right, thank you very much.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.